my shoe. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Arcane Archive. Yes, we are here once again today. We're so happy to have you here with us. We have a rousing round of another amazing episode of Cautionary Chronicles. That is right. These stories we have you today are most likely going to have you saying, what? And why? And just how? It's going to throw you across quite a vast canyon of mixed feelings and emotions. Take it from me, personally. Again, having to read through some of these, briefly and pick and choose just based off of the initial reactions and feelings. It's going to be a bit of a ride today, as it is every time you join us here, to be fair. But I don't know. What do you think, Sammy? What are your thoughts and feelings on the stories we've chosen today for our acolytes?
I think we got a good mix. There's some silly stuff that I can't help but want to pull my hair out at. There's some sad, there's some angry. We got a good spread.
We got a good spread, a nice little assorted seasonings, if you will. Wonderful. What do they call those? Like the 7-layered cakes or whatever they're called. It's for sure gonna be a little bit something for everybody, I think. With that being the case, let's go ahead and just do a little bit of shopkeeping at the top. As always, if you like what we're doing here on the Arcane Archive, please be sure to like on the video. Comment down below what you guys thoughts are on all of these stories. If there's anything that you'd like us to read, if there are any topics of RPGs that you kind of want us to cover, all that good stuff. Subscribe and share the channel. We appreciate any and all support you can offer. As always, thank you so very much. And without further ado, let's go ahead and just dive right back down into the archive. This first story we're going to be presenting you today is actually a two-parter. So you're getting basically 2-for-1 deal today. Lucky you! It is titled Jake, the GM's Favorite Character by Throwaway 21738. So, a friend of mine invited me to a pseudo-RPG game that he and some other of his friends also play. Pseudo-RPG. Interesting. To keep things vague enough, because, I don't know if any of them are on Reddit, and I don't know if I still want to leave yet, but, to let you know, who know enough, I'll say that we use a game to do the playing. I assume OP means like a video game, maybe, which is interesting. It's heavily modded to fit the setting of the GMs. There's co-GMs wanted. There's still a lot of rolling, though it generally only happens with events, talking to NPCs, trying to do something outside of the game mechanics, etc. It's really fun, and honestly, I would be having the time of my life because overall, the game we use is really fun. The world is super cool and interesting, and the GM is a really cool guy most of the time. And most of the other players themselves are great. The issue, however, all boils down to one individual, numero uno. We'll call this guy Jake. You know what, right off the top of the bat real quick, just as an aside, I'm heavily interested in exactly how they're blending together apparently I assume a video game with with tabletop role play mechanics or aspects how are they doing this? I don't understand. Did they make their own game, or is this did they use something else? I would love more specific information about that, quite frankly. But anyway, continuing on. Now, Jake is honestly not a bad guy, at least when compared to some of the other infamous players from other stories on this subreddit anyway. But the way he plays the game and all that the GMs let him get away with and do is honestly the most frustrating part. This story will revolve around 2 separate campaigns that are run. We switch back and forth after a few sessions so as to not let the GM get severe burnout because they do have to do a lot for setup within the game. I would assume so. Like I said, I don't understand how this is working. And Jake is honestly just, I don't know how to really put it simply, so I'll start with the story and then the details. So, like any other RPG, we make our characters. Now, everyone has their characters and they are all fairly reasonable within the setting. We have two people who play defectors of the main enemy faction's military. Two guys who essentially play members of two separate warrior peoples, and I made my character out to be a pretty basic mercenary. I never played the game before, so I did not know how the campaign worked because I was given bare minimum info on the world and the lore itself. Then there's Jake. Jake's character description is literally just me, but in the game. Okay, I guess that alone isn't too bad, but his character is basically the world's most efficient special forces soldier slash sniper slash assassin slash explosive expert slash, yeah, basically the Navy SEAL copy pasta meme. And I can certainly say that Jake himself is not any one of those things in any way, shape, or form. But this dude also decided to give his character nothing but the most OP gear and weapons. To make this worse, I've seen the other people ask for similar gear and equipment but get utterly denied. But Jake, he can wield a rifle that seems to one-tap just about everything, even the toughest of enemies that I would have to spend an entire magazine to put down. He's got armor that I swear I've seen him just tank everything but an entire squad, or a high-powered machine gun would be enough to put him down. And even then, he has a shield that apparently absorbs all damage that hits him. And then there's one other piece of equipment that I swear is the most egregious, but that goes best with a future point. I think the thing that upsets me the most with Jake is that the GM is his friend and he definitely gets privilege. So many of the sessions revolve around topics, missions, etc. that at first seem innocent enough, but after a while, you can tell that the major majority of them are built around Jake's favorite things to do. Then there's the fact that Jake loves to mess around with everyone else, especially me. When we're all chilling and hanging out before the session in game, and do things like, friendly fire, throw things at me, usual stuff that under other circumstances, I just laugh at and play along or ignore. But the thing that sucks the most about these things is that the GM has exclusively said he doesn't want any of that to be done. Every time I do it, get reprimanded by him because I don't know. Like, essentially, I got reprimanded by him the few times that I actually partook and reciprocated. Excuse me. Jake, however, has never received any such punishment. Even one time when I'm trying to mind my own business and Jake is just constantly killing my avatar. And I honestly can't do much because dude has infinitely more experience in the game than me and loves lording it over me and some of the other characters. Again, GM says nothing to him. But when I get tired and decide to hit him in game, I get the GM jumping down my damn throat. And then a couple weeks later, I'm bored, so I explore the immediate area around our spawn point, and I get Jake running over at me and saying, "Hey man, you gotta stop this, you're pissing off the GM." I literally was just wandering around maybe 30 feet. Maybe. Honestly, it wouldn't have bothered me at all if it wasn't for the previous statements and the knowledge the GM would likely have ignored it all if he did the same, which he has. I'm also just I'm still kind of just stuck on like they're using like a video game. Like I want to know what this is. I want to know how they're even doing all of this stuff. I don't even understand like how this is working. Now, like any RPG, everyone is supposed to play a role on the team. Jake's role is what everyone else does, but better. Because as I said, dude not only has some of the most OP items in the game, but several thousand hours in the game as well. Yeah, like I said, infinitely more experienced than me, and Jake has a real bad habit that whatever anyone else in the campaign's role or profession or really anything about their character is doing, he just has to usurp and basically try making himself into the main character. Now, the leader of our little band, because their character made the most sense, tries to talk to an NPC. Unless something is said otherwise, like NPC wishes to speak to the leader directly, there's like a 50-50 chance that Jake will find a way to insert his character into the dialogue somehow. Or throw out cheesy one-liners. We have a character who is an expert in handling military vehicles, and I've seen Jake zoom across the map to steal the vehicle and take over the controls before that character could even get close to it. One of the warrior race characters is supposed to be a melee close quarters combat expert. Even if he even mentions that he's about to go into melee, Jake will seemingly, I don't know, maybe, just maybe they were all coincidences, but probably not, start shooting at the enemies the other guy was about to go hack and slash to death himself, or he'll once again just close large distances in seconds to get into the melee himself and take them all out before he can get there. We have a CQB and explosives expert in the other warrior race guy. I remember several instances he mentioned planting explosives on something then, and then, yep, Jake vaults over and does it himself because along with the sniper, a shield, a submachine gun, and sometimes an entire turret, he also has a crap ton of explosives. He's also a veritable doctor because he will zoom across and patch everyone up if they get hurt. In Jake's own words, he likes to describe himself as the team's recon expert. Now, if you're wondering how Jake is able to zoom around so quickly to steal everyone's job, he has a piece of equipment that I can best describe as the omnidirectional maneuvering gear from Attack on Titan. So this man can literally cross the battlefield in the blink of an eye, seemingly never get hit while doing so, and just do everyone else's jobs for them because Jake is the main character and you're just supposed to be okay with it. I asked for a better set of armor and got told no. After a session where my character was unconscious for about half of it because his equipment wasn't up to snuff. I've got other more detailed stories about Jake's nonsense, but I think I'll end it there. I honestly just needed a rant. I don't know how much longer I'll be playing with these guys, and I honestly enjoy a lot of the game, but with Jake being how he is, and the GM just being okay with it, and all the other players also seemingly being fine with none of their characters really being able to feel special or important because they're also friends with Jake, I just don't know. Thank you for reading. In post. Okay, so right off the cuff, what are your thoughts about this, Sam? We got part two coming up in a second, but what do you think about the first installment?
I will be completely honest. I've seen stuff like this where, there's it's obvious that one person at the table is favored and that kind of like frustrating feeling. I don't I could not deal with this. Um it's insane to me.
I mean, yeah, that
It's
is an
it's because
understatement.
it's just one after another. Like it would drive me insane. Um and I feel bad for this person, but they're also choosing to put up with something like this. And that's the part that I'm just
Yeah, like,
like come on, man.
I mean, honestly, I'll be honest with you. I'm having trouble even believing that this is real, quite frankly, because I don't. I'm having my brain is having trouble wrapping around the idea, not just that there's this dude, this literal main character syndrome. I am very badass subreddit, r/ subreddit poster, like stealing everybody's thunder. But I don't understand how. I don't understand how it's possible, right? They're somehow creating some kind of hybrid between like tabletop and video game. I don't understand how in the game he's capable of having these items that allow him to be so OP and crazy while nobody else can get them. Like, I don't understand how the GM, for one, would even be able to like, police that too much. Um, as well as like what games would allow you to have a narrative while also or like a tabletop narrative while being able to do things in the video game. Like I don't understand what's happening here. Because again, if this was just like, made up, like pretend, then it's like, okay, I can understand that easier. Like he's literally just pulling the bullshit, 6-year-old card move of I have invincible shield that can never be broken by anything, like, or I can move, whatever. Like, but this, I mean, so even let's put that aside for now. Let's even say, like you were saying, the fact that people are putting up with this is another thing that I can't really understand. Let's say this was just an RPG scenario and it was just a made up bullshit crap. The fact that only seemingly OP, at least by OP's claim, is having an issue, that seems crazy to me. How is nobody else having a problem with this at all? Like, how is nobody else, exclaiming issue with having their spotlight taken or their personal specialization and focus taken from them like that? That alone seems crazy to me. Like, what? Maybe some people just like to B followers or just a B side characters? Is that a thing? Have you ever heard of that, Sammy? Where people are just like, yeah, I just like to be a side character. I
Yeah,
just
it's weird. I don't get that.
like I don't understand. Um yeah, many of the comments down below are expressing a similar kind of thing. I'm just like, just leave. Just leave. Call. Oh, I love this particular one. This dude's like, leave. Call names at both of them. They suck. This is a terrible game. Get out. Like that's great. I 100% concur. Yes, like you absolutely go ahead because like it's yeah, I don't even know how to really like process it. Let have overpower. Okay, so one of the guys says like, "Are you guys 10? Just follow the rules and you don't need to worry about any of this." Which that's a stupid kind of comment in my opinion. Like, come on now. If that was the case, I'd already been doing it. But OP does respond and says, "So the solution to Jake getting special treatment, allowed to have overpowered gear that no one else is allowed to, and stepping on everyone's toes and not allowing their characters to feel special is apparently just all allowed to break." Dude responds and says the solution is that you all have to play by mutually agreed upon rules. If you all want an overpowered power trip, then agree upon and play those rules. If you want balance, play by a balanced set of rules. Again, that this dude's comments are stupid as fuck. It doesn't make any like that's obviously the problem. Like, evidently people didn't necessarily agree upon it. Or maybe at the very least, OP didn't agree upon it. Maybe that is the case. Maybe this was an agreed upon thing before OP joined. I don't know. But goodness. Yeah, this shit is ridiculous. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Let's move on to part two real quick and get this
Yeah.
out of the way so we can get to the next one. Sammy, go ahead. Take it away.
Yeah, we have Jake, James' favorite character, part two, out of the game and out of friend. So I figured I would do a sequel slash quick update after a couple of weeks. Since then, we've had a few more sessions and a few more events transpired. So I've been trying to somehow talk to the DM about his sheer favoritism he was showing to Jake in a way that wouldn't cause a shitstorm. But between then and the first story I posted, several events happened, but most of which are pretty much just a copy and paste from the last post. Just a lot of Jake being catered to by the DM. We had several sessions back to back centered around his character and the mission types that he likes. And Jake commandeering damn near every situation he could, because Lord forbid he not be the center of attention or the hero. We're all just NPCs to his story, apparently. The only real notable situations that came from the last few sessions were one with the player who plays as the face of our team trying to do a scene, negotiating with one of the leaders of a faction we were trying to align with. The rest of the party was outside the room playing guard with the said leader's own personal bodyguards, well, aside from Jake. He wanted to be perched up somewhere as a sniper overwatch. Nothing wrong with that, but you'll see why I brought it up in a second. From what all we could hear were the negotiations were going just fine. There was no need for anyone to go inside and try to throw their own 2 cents in. Then, out of nowhere, using his fucking Attack on Titan grappling hooks, Jake just appears in front of us and walks into the room, completely ignoring my and two of the others' objections. He proceeds to go in, speak over our face, and decide he was the one negotiating from then on. Our face understandably got annoyed by this. Stuff like this was literally one of the cornerstones of her entire character. But when she tried to retake her spot in the conversation, the DM decided, as the faction leader, to shush her and keep conversing with Jake's character. The DM's favoritism once again making its appearance. The talks go on for about another 10 or so minutes, without our face ever getting another word in. Session ends soon after that. Fast forward to the next couple of sessions, and the second more notable event happens. I say it's more notable because it's probably what got me to finally speak up. It's probably nothing that big to a lot of folks, but for me, it really did set me off. Throughout the couple months I was with this group, my character took a backseat in literally every major and even minor situations. He was just there as another character and rode along, mainly contributing to inter-party RP and the missions themselves. But finally, there was a situation where I felt like I could actually try to play a bigger part. There was going to be this big attack on a large enemy base, and the team decided it was going to try and do a semi-covert entry while in the middle of a large battle between the main enemy faction and the alliance we were a part of. but there needed to be one of us to go in with the main attacking force. My character is the only one who isn't really a commando operator, etc. type character, so I volunteer myself to do it. My entire job was to be on the ground with the attacking force and keeping communications with the rest of the team so that when the big force hits a certain objective, they can go in and do their covert mission. I was super excited. I could actually contribute, even if it actually was just a little, to the team besides being an extra gun. And Jake didn't try to take the spotlight from me because he wasn't at that session, which, funny enough, ran like half the usual time of the ones he is in. Funny how that works. Fast forward to the session with the big battle, and through a bunch of fluff, my character is with the main attacking force and assisting with the attack on the base. Me and the AI units are doing pretty good. I'm staying back a bit because I need to keep the team informed of what's going on. This is when Jake apparently finds out what I'm doing, and asks out of character, well, one of us could do that. I already knew where this was going and I braced myself. Yeah, it didn't help. I was still very much annoyed by Jake's actions. Man literally left the position he was in with the rest of the team, stole a flying vehicle, rode it all the way out to the battle lines before bailing out and using his grapple hook thing to land at the front. And just like in my previous post, he proceeds to use his OP gear and weapons and thousands of hours in the in the video game we used to basically one-man army his way through the big battle. And if that wasn't enough, he talked over me on the radio the entire time I tried relaying information. Then when we got to the point that the team was supposed to insert on a separate vehicle, into a separate section of the base we weren't at, Jake proceeded to attack on Titan his way all the way back to them. I was pissed. Even my small role in this mission wasn't safe from Jake and his bullshittery. I held my tongue until the end of the session, but I definitely brought up all my issues when we were done, namely just about Jake and how he can't seem to just hold back and not try to main character his way through everything. I even brought up all the times he did this with everyone else's characters. I proceeded to get told off by the DM, Jake, and even other members of the group that apparently Jake is the DM's best friend and is thus allowed these privileges, and I need to get over it. That came from both Jake and the DM. And that I should have come up with a better character idea if I wanted any special missions. And that if I should have just gotten better at the game if I wanted to do stuff like Jake. The grammar's bad.
Yeah, no, he's
Reminder,
made a couple of fuck ups, even the last one too.
yeah, reminder, I at this point have maybe 50 or so hours, and I only really play the game for the sessions. Jake has thousands of hours in it. I proceed to call both of them out for their bullshit and their bullshit reasoning, but then several people in the party, including my friend, get mad at me because I was being hostile and shouldn't be mad at them because they're autistic. Ah, fuck you. And I
Yeah.
may get flack for this, but that's absolutely not a good excuse in my mind. I may not be on the spectrum, but I have several fan members who are, and I grew up with multiple people who were very much who were heavily autistic. Both Jake and the DM, from everything I've gathered from my friend or invited me talks with the other players, and even conversations between Jake and the DM are grown adults, have stable jobs, able to live on their own without any form of assisted living. They aren't on medication or anything that would indicate they are not mentally aware enough to look back on everything and find any fault in their actions rather than falling back on the I'm autistic, you can't be mad at me. They both, aside from being autistic to whatever degree, have shown no signs of being capable and functional of still being capable and functional adults. After that, I left the group. It wasn't worth several hours of my night on several days of the week to deal with that nonsense. But now we get to the part about my friend. This friend of mine I've known for well over 10 years, since we were teenagers. I thought we were close. I even helped him get into his own 2 feet when he was struggling to leave his very toxic home life after he left high school, both financially and giving him a place to stay. But apparently, his year-long, at least as far as what I know, friendship with Jake and the DM were more important to him than ours. He messaged me on Discord a couple of days later saying that he didn't think he and I could hang out anymore, that I was wrong for what I said to his friends, and that he couldn't be friends with an asshole who bullies autistic people. He then blocked me on Discord, Steam, Xbox, and everything, and that's about it. I'm out of a bullshit game, but I also am out of an over decade long friendship. Thanks for reading. Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I just,
yelling at people, probably not. It's not how you're not going to win any favors doing that.
I
Is the
mean, maybe
problem.
not,
I
but I
understand.
mean,
His feelings are are like
I was gonna say, I mean,
very
I would get it.
understandable,
I think
but
he should have handled it better for sure.
yes, yeah, unfortunately,
But again, I can't say I don't understand their frustration and aggravation because it is, and again, I'll be honest, this sounds like a fucking cult to me, quite frankly. Like I don't get it. Like I really don't. There's so much about this story that I cannot reconcile with. Like there's again the fact that nobody else seems to have any problem or issue that's going on, and they're trying to use the single flimsy ass bullshit excuse of, well, they're autistic, so you gotta deal with it. Like, no, that's not how that works at all. Especially to OP's point, where evidently they're smart enough, or not even, they're not about being smart. They are cognizant and aware and capable enough to be able to put together this whole thing, to do all this stuff. They apparently are capable enough to try and reprimand other people from doing such. The GM specifically is able to reprimand other people from doing shitty or poor or distasteful actions and things in the game. So why exactly does his best friend get like, that's not how that works. You don't, again, this is literally like the whole joke that Family Guy made about Peter being legally neurodivergent or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally that this was the literal joke they made where he just does everything that he wants and he literally like claims that he can do it or and gets rid of any fault by claiming that he's mentally disabled. Like that's not how that works. You don't, especially again, you don't get to just act however you want when you can and then throw out whatever card to utilize as an excuse for being an asshole. Like that's not, no. Even with this kind of thing, the whole point is that you are trying to be better. The whole point is you are trying to be more balanced, more stable and capable. And if you make some fuck ups or mess ups here or there, it should be you should have a little bit more grace and understanding given to you by people because you might be a little bit more neurodivergent and not have that same kind of chemical or brain makeup as others. That's the point, to be like, hey, yeah, be a little bit more understanding because they also are going through some things that you might not necessarily understand, but in no way, shape, or form gives them a free pass to just be a fucking douchebag. Like
Yeah.
that and the fact that they're trying to use that as an excuse speaks volumes to me. And again, like I said, I don't understand why everyone else is going along with this. This feels like a cult. It feels like they have been brainwashed to be like, yeah, no, it's just fine. They're just autistic. No, you can't do that. No, no. Like, what are we talking about? Fucking OP's friend, who's apparently he's known him for about 10 years or so. Apparently helped him out of a bad situation, family situation, and he drops the friendship for this apparent new friendship here. Like what's going on? Like I don't understand. Like there's so much about this. Again, I also still understand how are they utilizing the video game and how are they utilizing the tabletop? Because they're saying like they somehow split up. He had NPC bots or whatever to help him with the so-called assault on one area, but somehow Jake was able to get from the area he was in, steal a flying ship, fly all the way over there, and then grapple hook his way. Like what game are they playing? Can anybody comments? Can you guys down below? Does anybody have any goddamn idea what they're playing or what they're doing? Because I don't understand how any of this is even possible. Quite frankly, I don't even understand. Like I cannot reconcile. Like
No,
I just
not
don't
to
get it.
not to that degree at all. Like it's not worth it.
It's just not. It's not worth it. It doesn't make any sense. Like I like maybe you know what? Like it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, those people want to keep doing that. Like I said, maybe they like being Jake's bitch. Who knows? Maybe all of them enjoy it. Maybe they're all masochists or something, and they enjoy being a sub or whatever. I don't know. Either way, it's not worth it. Fuck them. Leave it alone. They're not like Sam said, it's not worth it at all. None of them are worth it. I'm sorry that happened to you, OP. If this is real, if all of this is actually real, I'm very sorry that this happened to you. And like, I mean, you said apparently the game was really fun. Like I said, the idea and the concept is certainly fascinating to me, but I
but
also
not like
yeah,
not
it's
like
not
this.
it's not worth this, but I also don't even know how it would work. I have no clue how you guys are doing this. I have no clue what this even is. But I hope that you find better pastures, greener pastures somewhere else. Because yeah, nobody deserves all of this shit for certain. This is ridiculous and crappy and absolutely deserving of just kill it with fire. It deserves to be killed with fire, in my opinion. But whatever. What do you think, Sam?
I know it's this is 100% not worth it. Again, the idea is cool, kind of. Um, I don't the whole like pushing things together has never been my idea of fun, only because it gets too complicated and annoying.
That's what I'm thinking.
Um,
I don't understand how they could do that. Like,
so I don't know. I don't think it would be my go for. But I mean it's fine. I feel like it's fine. It's just one of those things where you're like, okay. Um,
I just, I just especially hate when people try to use like neurodivergence
oh,
as an excuse and crutch like that.
yeah.
That is a particularly disgusting and heinous thing because again, like I know I got autism too. Like I definitely am on that spectrum. Um, but I don't ever like utilize that as a means of justifying shitty behavior. Like I'm like, I keep aware that like, okay, I feel certain ways and things about certain things that other people don't care about at all, or they wouldn't be bothered by, or they wouldn't like, whatever. And or vice versa, where I don't feel bothered by certain things that a ton, like vast majority of the people might feel bothered by or might like whatever. And I have to be aware that like, okay, I still need to be considerate of other people's feelings, emotions, and reactions to certain things. Like I can't just simply dismiss it. Um,
Yeah.
and this is just disgusting. All of this, just ugh, ugh, ugh. All right, we need to cleanse our palate of Jake. Let's go. Let's move on to the next fucking story, which ironically actually is just another stint into we're falling even deeper into the abyss of power gaming. It's because of guys like these that give power gamers a bad name, Sam. God damn it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
They are not representing us well, bro. Like, fuck. Can we get some power gamer love, bro? We're really not that bad. It's not that bad, okay? It really isn't. These are exceptions, not the rule, okay? Please believe us.
Please believe, you have to believe me.
They probably won't after this story. Let's get into it. The next story of the day is titled "Brother Got to Experience the Full Brunt of a Power Triple" by Birdie. I think that's how they wanted that to pronounce, or Birdie. I don't know. Sorry, a bit of a rant since it's 1:45 a.m. Full disclosure, this happened to my bro who just got back from his late online session with friends. Apparently, this time there was a guy from a wider table group who brought his own character. Immediate red flags popped up when my brother said this. Okay. He had the opportunity to go over his sheet on D&D Beyond after my brother said he was likely cheating. Huh. Excuse me. Level 11 Warforged fighter for context. Dude was running 220s, a 17, a 16, a 15, a 14, and a 12 for his stat array. Wait a minute. What, two? Wait, 220s? Isn't that an extra stat? Like there's seven. You only get six stats. Like, what do you mean? Not super unusual for a high stat game, except for the fact that the rest of the party was running a full 19 ability scores lower than he was. 90 total ability score without modifiers compared to the rest of the party's 71. Clearly not standard array, but He got it from another campaign. So you just have to take his word for it. He also has an extra feat for no reason. Probably pulled something out of his ass to explain why he just has an additional feat. Again, for absolutely no reason. This guy had a 25 AC on a Warforged. Okay, all right, Warforged can be pretty tank. Wait, what? I look into it. The dude is running +2 plate, the +1 Warforged bonus, and a shield. Okay, fine. A giant legendary dragon maul from Fizzbands, which isn't even being applied in the campaign being run, a +1 AC trinket, and a pair of daggers that also grant +1 AC when wielded together. Again, from another completely random module. Well, I mean, I don't see why Fizzbands can't be allowed, but I guess if you're not allowing it, yeah, that's an extra red flag there. But anyway, I glanced at it for 2 seconds and understood they were all handpicked by the guy to give himself as much AC as possible. I mean, clearly. Except that he shouldn't have been able to wield a shield, a maul, and two daggers all at the same time. Warforged aren't normally built with 5 arms. And then let's not even get started with the class features. He literally mixed and matched feats and features from the old player's handbook with the new player's handbook to find the best stuff he could and ignore the rest. For example, he added the alert feat as part of his 2024 player's handbook fighter features. But he used the old rulings where it grants higher initiative than the new one. And this is layered all throughout his character sheet. Now, I thought this guy might have been, just a total fucking idiot and didn't realize how D&D Beyond works. I think that's a fair assumption, OP. Excuse me. Hence the mistake of his AC being so high. However, this proves to be untrue, for he is fully aware of the rules and how D&D Beyond works and is clearly just exploiting it. Everything is tailored to min-max a super tank fighter, and he's just straight up cheating to make his character as powerful as possible. And I haven't even mentioned how he plays. But honestly, I don't really think I need to say much. Interrupting the GM, interrupting other players, hogging the spotlight, has to be the one to get the final kill on everything. Power trips over NPCs who can't possibly hit his ungodly AC. Has to interact everything without consulting the group, has to rules lawyer on everything, and basically bully other players into doing what he wants them to do. Stomps over the poor GM every time his precious character is so much gets glanced at by a hostile NPC, excuse me. Ninja loots all the chests they find and complains when he isn't able to, despite being the only one with literally legendary magic weapons and over 3 million gold. And, of course, because Discord only has one audio channel option, unlike being in an in real life room where everyone can talk at the same time, the guy hogged the mic even from the poor GM trying to describe the scenes and characters. Again, do I even need to say more than that? Honestly, I think I've already said too much at this point. Either way, this sub has heard it all before. Safe to say, I told my brother that he needs to insist that this GM to kick this bozo out. Textbook narcissistic power gaming douchebag. I feel most bad for the GM who, as someone who has been in the same shoes before, doesn't want to cause conflict. I get it. However, you gotta kick these guys out. If you're petty, with a flurry of fireballs, preferably, since his character has virtually no saving throw defense. Or they'll just ruin the vibe and the campaign for everyone. Rant over. TLDR, go read what I wrote. Why are you scrolling to the bottom to get a TLDR? It's just another power tripper story. In post. I like this. I like this OP. He's got some style. He's got some flair. Again, what you think about this one right away, Sammy boy?
I mean, they're giving us a bad name.
They are not representing. They are not representing here. Like, oh goodness gracious. Yeah,
I do love the 5-armed Warforged, though.
That's an interesting concept for sure.
That would be like a really annoying enemy.
I mean, ironically, like I get like thing being is he wanted the Warforged bonus, thing. Maybe he also wanted other Warforged stuff like the resistance to poison and not needing to breathe and whatever else. But if he had gone like say Thri-Kreen, for instance, if he had chosen like the Thri-Kreen race, technically speaking, he could have actually wielded at least the maul and the two daggers at the same time.
Yeah.
Uh, he couldn't, he'd obviously have to switch out the shield for something, but he could technically have worn them all,
No, but my
wielded them all in two
Thri-Kreen has
daggers.
a third. It has another extra arm though.
Has that third arm
It's
down
a it's a
below.
robot. It's a robot
Mm-hmm.
prosthetic. It's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Shminis and has a hand on it,
Mhm.
so it can.
Modifications, as it were.
Yeah,
They need
it
a
holds
little
the shield.
extra,
It holds
little
the shield right in front of
upgrades.
me.
Yep.
It's about
Can
about
spin 360 degrees around my body at
about
all
two forearm.
times.
It's about two
You
forearms
know,
length.
it's able to like block, anything instantaneously. Yeah.
It can get really hard, so it can't be moved, and then it
Yep.
also can
Yep. Gets real stiff, one might
go
say,
limp, so
can
I can move it
stiffen
around.
up, gets maybe flaccid, others might say. Others might use the term gets flaccid.
It's unfortunate. This is
Uh,
why.
See, it's absolutely. I mean, OP put it best, literally, as he said. This, where was the lovely, yeah, this textbook narcissistic power gaming douchebag. This guy right here is absolutely giving us a bad name. Like here, why can't people, Sam? Why can't people put their powers to good use? And quite frankly, I'll even say this. Like I said, this guy he's not even necessarily really that impressive either with his power gaming. It's not impressive to power game when you're just straight up cheating at the game. That's not impressive. You're just taking advantage of the fact that that D&D Beyond's programming can't technically account for the fact that you only have two appendages to hold shit in.
I want more.
Like you can't like it's like okay you click the equip for shield button, it'll automatically count that because it just assumes that you just using your shield. Like that's the point of it. So you
Hmm.
can't say that you're gonna automatically get all of that shit like that. Like that's not impressive. Get a 25 AC because you actually utilized all of the rules and restrictions and confines of the mechanics of the game, and yet you still were able to build upon all of that to get there. That's impressive. That's cool. Like
Agreed.
utilize like again, that should, at least in my opinion, is what I consider to be a true noble breed blue blood power gamer. Yes, the only true power gamers out there. It is only ever really fun and impressive in order for you to be able to push the confines of your power in the game within the regulations. Because otherwise, what's the point?
You're
Otherwise,
just
just
cheating.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Otherwise, just make an item that makes you the invincible. Like just do that. This isn't impressive. This isn't interesting. He's not smart. He's not he's not like fucking well done. It's not like like what are you doing? Like that's if anything, I'm more offended by being associated with a man, him being associated with our so-called power gaming community. Like this isn't power gaming. He's just cheating. There's a difference, okay? I submit there's a difference. But also, in all realness and seriousness, like I also don't understand why the GM ever allowed this whatsoever. Like here's the thing, right? He says, I want to bring in a character like from a different campaign. We've talked about this before on the channel. Sure. I personally don't see anything wrong with that. You've already made a ton of characters, right? Sam, how many backlog of characters do you have that you've made up to this point?
Like 35.
Yeah, I've got like
I mean, I'm not
over,
going to use all of them, but
I mean,
I
hell,
don't want to even play all of them at this point. But
I have like over 70. I have like over 70 characters that I've just made for various reasons. And
that's too many characters.
I've played, there's no such thing, Sam. Shut your whore mouth. There's no such thing. I've played a decent amount of them actually, at least gotten like little moments here or there, to be fair. Like I've made some of them for like one shots and things. Again, we've made some of them on this channel together, with the multi-class builds and stuff like that. The what ifs, the dude what ifs. And I've made others of them just for, DMing purposes, even as like, enemies, big bad evil guys, or other things. And I've gotten to play, a, number of them here or there, which has been fun and nice. But, you know, with that being said, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you get an opportunity to bring a character from your backlog where you're like, yeah, I already made a character. Like, I don't necessarily, maybe you don't even necessarily have like a concept for a new character. Just like, yeah, actually, I already made one that could fit perfectly in this setting. But the key word there, acolytes, is you have to bring a character that is conducive to the setting and the game, the campaign you're going to be playing. You bring a character and maybe you have to, revamp their backstory a bit. You have to, revamp certain aspects and things. Like you can't just take shit that you had in another campaign over to this campaign. It's not how that works. I don't understand why the GM would ever fucking allow that. That doesn't make sense. It's not how that works.
No.
You can't just say like, "Oh yeah, dude's running dude's got two 20s, a 17, 16, 15, 14 and 12." Again, I still don't understand how that math works out because that's seven numbers for six stat attributes. So, he's going to have to drop one of those. And my guess being the 12. I assume he'll probably drop the 12. Uh so I mean that being the case, like if you guys were rolling, that's a possibility. That would still be an absolute godly roll. But I've seen shit like that happen before. I'm not gonna lie, I have. I've seen people roll like 2 18s before, and then be able to get like plus twos to their bonuses and shit right away or whatever, or even the ability score improvements and stuff like I've seen in my time some pretty insane and crazy stat arrays when you're rolling. I won't lie, but this isn't that apparently. OP says, I guess, that they're doing standard array, or at least yeah, I believe what it's just 71 is the standard array that we use, right? When we're using like point buy or whatever,
Hmm.
or even just normal. So it's like that alone already shows he's freaking cheating. That's not correct. That's not how that works. He also has an extra feat for no reason. Like I don't mm, like Sammy. I want to know like where are these GMs? Where are these GMs who are just like doormats where you can just walk all over them and get whatever the fuck you want? Like, I haven't met one yet. Like, I haven't met one where I can just be like, hey, I'm gonna bring a level 17, fucking Azamar uh cleric of arcane cleric or whatever uh to this thing that has all of these like legendary tier items, and I'm gonna take all the tomes of like knowledge and wisdom and charisma as well to get a +2 bonus, permanent +2 bonus to push my shit. Also, I'm gonna take some legendary boon, some epic boon feats to also increase. Like, where are these GMs? Because I don't understand how so many people seem to be encountering them, and I never do. I mean, you never do either because you guys never get out. You and your fucking consistent ass fucking group for over 7 years, you
Yeah,
fucks.
it's not really consistent anymore. So,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
I'm the one
sorry.
who's running Tuesdays, so it's the opposite of consistent.
Oh shit. Well,
Yeah, it's
I
been,
guess. Hey,
yeah.
welcome to the pool, I guess, bud. Like,
We've also started playing a completely different game on Mondays
Oh shit. All
by
right.
what's his face? Shit. MCDM, Matt Colville.
Matt Colville's. Yes, yes.
Draw Steel.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
It's a new one that he released.
Oh, okay.
And we're playing that now. Yeah, so it's not all roses and
All right.
fresh grass
Oh,
over here either.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's, hey, you certainly you had a long stint though for sure. You guys had
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
quite the run though.
Yep.
Uh like
Yeah,
goddamn.
we still play though. So
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. Just not what we originally signed up for.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but still better than all of this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I've also finally gotten a group that at least, I've been with them for like over a year now, almost 2 years now, I think actually. It's coming pretty close. So that's been nice. We're technically on our third campaign now, together. So I think I told a little bit about this too. It's like it's a evil campaign specifically as well that we're doing. And if you want to talk about power gaming, like that's, everybody in this group tried to power game the fuck out of their character here.
Well, you should. It's an Evo
Um,
campaign.
exactly. Like that's kind of the point. And so we're definitely seeing various different extents of power gaming. And I can tell you for sure, this shit right here is just a fucking embarrassment. This is just an embarrassment right here. Like good a true power gamer would never ever be caught dead cheating.
No,
That's a true
no, because
power
the
gamer.
reason I like frustrating other people is because everything I'm doing is well
Is
within the rules.
completely legal. It
Can
is
it be scummy?
completely legal.
And it can take
Yeah, yeah.
advantage
Don't get us
of,
wrong. Don't get us
maybe
wrong.
some incorrect wording of
Maybe it can be a bit
things.
cheesy too at times. It can be a
Yeah.
little bit. It could definitely be. Yes, it is OP. That is true. But it is not.
And maybe they didn't intend for
It
it
is
to work
not
that way.
not technically
Technically cheating.
unfair. Yes, because we
Sounds like you
did
guys should have read the books better.
exactly, or made and built your shit a little bit better or differently. Hey, but but that that being the case, of course, there is also something to be said about not necessarily being the best at everything. But again, and even to the point, let's say for instance, he's got crazy AC, sure, fair enough. But OP literally does stipulate at the bottom that he apparently has zero saving throw defenses, really. Except for maybe like, con saving throws. So I mean, like he's not actually like overpowered, you know what I mean? Like again, high AC is cool and yeah, like for certain individuals or characters that would be a problem, but then just hit him with saves. Just hit him with saves. That's like there are so many things in the game that give saving throws, especially now with like the new monster manual and shit, with the new fucking player's handbook and DMG, like all the new rulings and systems. Like there are so many things that can give you that make you saving throw or roll to save instead of it being like just to hits. Like it's okay. High AC is not the end of the world. I still agree that this dude trying to do this shit is bullshit because it's not real. Like he literally is just straight up cheating. But also high AC is not that big a deal at the end of the day. It really isn't. Like there are plenty of counters to it. Make it so that like, put him to sleep or unconscious or, stun him,. Obviously they still have a high AC, but also actually that is the thing too. Specifically, Sammy,
Hmm.
if I recall correct with the rules, if you're paralyzed, because if you're paralyzed, you wouldn't necessarily get the automatic like AC, like at least you wouldn't get like your dex bonus, right? I think maybe it would still apply if you had like heavy armor, but if you're a dex based build,
They don't go in 5e, they don't go into it enough for that to matter.
yeah,
And that's not like a
I
technically
do
it's
I do know if you're unconscious, technically you take like a
yes.
minus. You don't get your
Well,
like your you don't get your
no,
dex.
so that's not again, I think there's certain things that just allow you to auto hit or auto crit or whatever, but you still have to beat their SC whether or not they have the ability to move or not.
No, agreed. But then that's the thing. Like I do know that there is like a mechanic where, again, if you're unconscious, you usually you don't get your dex bonus when you're unconscious. Um, so if you're a dex-based build and you're like, I would assume that like ironically that maybe would also technically apply if you were paralyzed or stunned because and maybe not if you're stunned because I guess you can kind of still move a little bit. But I definitely if you're paralyzed, I don't because you get an automatic crit. Like you won't automatically hit, but if you do hit, you get an auto crit when you're paralyzed or unconscious. So I would assume that those two states would be the same. Like I can't imagine that a person who's paralyzed could also still get like their dex bonus to their AC because they can't fucking move at all. Like that would just make sense to me. Again, maybe if you have like heavy armor, it would make sense. I also don't
Yeah,
think you could
maybe.
necessarily apply like your shield bonus either because you can't use your shield to defend. You're paralyzed. You can't move. So I mean, looking at it in that regard, sure, yeah, like that, there's even more things you could potentially do by, inflicting status effects and other shit, but obviously
That's
not a lot of
true.
people. Not a lot of people necessarily want to go that deep and in depth with it too, because yeah, like Sam said, 5e is meant to be a little bit more streamlined. But I digress. We've gone off on enough of a tangent on this, I guess. Either way, to sum it up, this guy, absolutely narcissistic, shitty, punk ass, douchebag. Not a true power gamer. He gives everybody a bad name. He's a faker. He's an absolute faker. He's a goddamn poser, is what he is. Get him out of my fucking chat. Get him out of my fucking computer. We're moving on to the next one. Sammy, you're up.
Okay. All
This one's
right.
gonna be kind of sad.
It is losing two
Eh,
friends over D&D.
I can already tell.
Hello. This is from a few years back, but while discussing a different D&D campaign, the story came back up, and I decided to share it because a friend, the soon-to-be-mentioned barbarian, said this story belonged here. Hopefully, this isn't so long that no one cares. This was in 2019, and I had been playing D&D with my IRL friends for about 6 years at that point. I will use our classes from this campaign to refer to everyone for simplicity. I was Ranger, my wife was a Paladin, one friend was Barbarian, one was a Cleric, and the last was our DM. I've known Paladin, Cleric, and DM for over 15 years. Cleric and Paladin went to middle school and high school with me, and the DM was the Cleric's little brother, a grade behind us. Cleric was never quite as close to me as the Paladin, as to me and Paladin as. Wait, uh-oh, that already happened.
Yep.
It said Cleric was never quite as close to me and Paladin as Cleric. I think they weren't as close.
Yeah.
But the three of them hung out consistently over the years. We met Barbarian in college and started playing D&D after it came up randomly, and we all realized we'd been wanting to play for a while. We started with 3.5. The Barbarian was our original game master. We ran a successful campaign we all loved, and we got heavily into the hobby. Over the years, several of us were the game master, and we eventually switched over to Pathfinder. While Barbarian was running a Pathfinder game, the DM came to us and pitched an idea for a campaign they wanted to run. He had a world where the church ran all aspects of life because an undead plague had destroyed the world and left only scattered strongholds throughout. Paladin, myself, and Barbarian decided to all be from the same place. Now, at this point, our DM gave us freedom to create our characters and wanted to use Pathfinder. I found a class subclass called Grave Warden, and I really liked it because they are someone trained specifically to hunt the undead. Paladin decided to be an Aasimar of a nature god who likes to hit things with hammers and be cute. The barbarian was a Damphir who was raised by the church to be a monster who hunts monsters and was ill-treated and kept in the basement. Think Quasimodo gaslit into thinking he can't be around people type stuff.
Okay.
I decided to make my ranger the son of a church leader who encouraged a friendship between me and the barbarian, so that if he ever became too monstrous, I could put him down. Of course, the barbarian was to think we were just friends, so that we could have some planned inter-party conflict down the line. Awesome. Um,
All right. I'm following so far. I've got me going so far. Yeah.
the three of us discussed this and created a small commando unit where we'd been trained to do secret church missions. Cleric wanted to be from a distant land of orcs, who was recruited to join us,
Oh, that
and now we
barbarian better
were.
be a zealot barbarian too, bro. That's all I know.
Well, they're in Pathfinder, so I don't know right now. But as time went, oh, sorry. Now we were waiting for the current campaign to end, so we sat on this stuff for a bit, though the idea was to run it by the DM for approval. But as time went on, we had about 8 months till our current campaign was to end. The DM decided to switch from Pathfinder to 5e.
All
The
right. Well,
three of
there you
us,
go.
the
Zealot
three of
barbarian.
us, yeah, the three of us we worked our subclasses and ideas, and no harm was done. Though I expressed disappointment in the 5th edition Ranger, don't we all? The DM decided to work with me.
They did it better in 2024. They gave it a little bit extra in 2024. I'm enjoying playing a ranger, I'm playing the new ranger currently in the campaign. Like I'm
We went
enjoying
over
it.
this.
I'm enjoying it. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about a class I have to stick with and play forever. DM decided to work with me and sent me some Ranger UA stuff. This was back when Gloomstalker was UA. I got hooked on the idea of being a Gloomstalker, and DM went over the idea and approved it.
Gloomstalkers are cool. I'm
The
playing a Gloomstalker.
Gloomstalkers became a church organization that the Ranger's father ran. The Ranger was assigned to work with Paladin and Barbarian because they were two prized assets of the church, a literal demigod and their strongest fighter, and be the leader of this small group. As the campaign drew very close, the DM brought something. to help us finalize any changes or ideas one night. An enormous three-ring binder full of lore. We skimmed it, but didn't find anything that contradicted our ideas. It was around this
Okay.
time two things happened. I, the ranger, came out as trans, male to female, and the DM started to imply that he was unhappy with our group dynamic. The three of us all independently got messages where the DM sent us finalized backstories where he had rewritten our dynamics and stories. He removed the paladin from being a close friend of the other two, killed Ranger's mother for added trauma, and made Ranger's father a distant, cold presence. He did almost nothing to Barbarian. He also had a lot of trouble with my new name and pronouns. I do not know if the two are related, but the timeline made me suspicious. Despite this, we started the game. DM created a Discord for us to post schedules and talk about stuff that we played in person. Another thing was to mention that for years we played D&D at Paladin and Rangers, myself, apartment, and typically played 3 to 4 hours with Barbarian driving from another city to join us. When we switched to the DM's
Wow.
campaign, he requested we play at his house. No problem at all. He lived down the street like two lights. When the game finally started, Barbarian, Paladin, and myself all noticed very quickly a sense of frustration with us. The DM seemed very mad that we had built characters who functioned well in his world. He didn't say anything though, so we just powered through and had fun. The other immediate problem was that within about an hour and a half of us playing uh, our typical game night, DM and cleric's mother got home from work and the game ended, no matter where we were or how long the session could go on. I respected their mother's wishes, and we all would go home. Due to the travel time for the barbarian, and Paladin typically rushing over straight from work, a growing sense of frustration began to set in. It sucked to have our game go from long hours and hours to barely over an hour. It was at this point, all about 4 sessions in, that DM confronted me about my ranger and say they had to heavily nerf the Gloomstalker. I was frustrated. He had
Ah,
sent me the subclass and
dude.
approved it previously, but despite some debate, I agreed to lose the invisibility portion, despite that being the key reason I wanted to play the subclass. The next session, we were discussing armor our characters were wearing, and the paladin described her bikini armor. This had been something in the original backstory and reiterated many times, but this time the DM said you can't have that, it's unrealistic. Paladin was miffed and showed the section of the rules that basically says you can choose your armor's aesthetic, but he was adamant and promised they could get magic bikini armor later. When the chance came a session later, they were told it would be 10,000 gold. We had yet to get any gold, and when directly asked, the DM said it would take months, if not years, to get that much money. The armor would still be basic armor. Barbarian and Cleric received no such attacks on their characters, and in fact were given opportunities to highlight things in their backstory. It began to feel like he disliked Paladin and myself. DM was also the only one still struggling with my new name and pronouns, and getting very pissy about my or others' corrections.
Mm,
There
mm.
were a few other moments of frustration, such as being given a magic bow despite building my character as a Belmont-esque from the very beginning and wanting to use a whip for combat and saying I didn't want to just turn into the typical ranger equals bow, or getting mad when we defeated a boss he didn't want us to beat and immediately knocking us all out anyway so we could play out the cutscene he had intended. Oh, no.
Yeah, you know that whole like trope in video games where you have to fight and defeat a boss only for the boss in a cutscene to kick your ass anyway? Like,
That's,
yeah, those are never fun. Like they are infamously hated and disliked pretty universally, I would say. So it's certainly not a great feeling, especially when you do it in a game that prizes your free will. Um
it's just getting
and
worse. And
capability and choices.
the
It's
longer
it's it's
this the
devolving.
longer this story goes on, the worse it gets.
It is devolving quite
Okay.
quite
I
clearly
have
in,
a
in a
couple
number
I
of
have a couple
areas.
paragraphs. Let's see if it gets any worse than this.
Oh, goody,
The
goody
final straw came
gumdrops.
when oh wonderful. The final straw came when driving home for another session. This one actually running particularly long. The session had involved the barbarian quite heavily. We'd found a young boy under a curse to become a monstrously strong demon unless he drank a suppressing potion every day. Not knowing what the potion did, after finding the boy among the wreck of a caravan, we withheld it. Only to realize the boy had been the one to destroy the caravan himself. The boy had no memories of being a demon. I, as a member who respected the church organization, suggested we give the boy to the local church to raise and deal with his issue. Barbarian saw the boy would end up being another version of himself. After trying to help the boy and realizing he was too dangerous, we had a very emotional scene where the barbarian took the boy into the woods and had him think about, oh my God, and think about his happiest memories and what he wanted to do with his
Wow.
life, and then beheaded him to save him from being tortured and gaslit into being another church monster. Then the DM immediately had the boy revive and inform us that he could not die. Ugh, that's lazy. Barbarian felt cheated out of his emotional moment, and we
Very
felt the session
anticlimactic.
was fairly undone, and then the mother arrived home, we had to leave. On the way home, Paladin, Barbarian, and myself discussed how much better the longer session felt, and how the immediate undercut was so disappointing. Barbarian did say if it was revealed later, even the very next session, it wouldn't have felt so bad, but the way it was done felt like you didn't make the decision I wanted in that moment, and it upset him. I've always been the outspoken one, so they both asked me to message the DM for the three of us and see if we could move back to mine and the Paladin's apartment so we could play and express some frustrations with the way we felt limited in our choices and backstory. I emphasized that I respected the cleric and DM wanting to empty the house so their mother could relax after work, but that the three of us also worked hard and wanted to enjoy our longer sessions, and that despite complaints, we did enjoy the game. I messaged DM when we got home, and his response was, "Do you even want to play D&D anymore?" I answered that I did, and despite some issues, I loved playing games with him, and the intent was for more D&D with longer, more intricate sessions. I got no further response. The next day, Paladin, Cleric, myself, and another friend were getting together for our weekly movie night. DM had never expressed interest in this event. When Barbarian arrived, he seemed agitated. Upon asking, we learned that apparently DM had reached out to Barbarian, and the DM had then asked Barbarian if he wanted to keep playing D&D without Paladin and myself because he was a good player. Apparently, it had happened quite early in the morning. While movie night was around 6 p.m., and Barbarian had told DM they needed to message me and Paladin and that they found the question shady. Barbarian got no response, but I messaged the DM immediately to ask what the fuck. Cleric never arrived for movie night that evening. DM never answered me again through DM, but after receiving messages from both myself and Paladin, who was very angry at going behind us to try to ditch us from the game, DM posted the game was over and deleted the Discord. Now, of course, this was a friend of ours for years, and Cleric was one of my absolute ride or die best friends, and Paladins. So we called a few times, both of them, to no avail, and even tried to go over and talk to them. No answer. The next time we saw Cleric, they were retrieving from some stuff we had borrowed, some board games and a DVD, and after telling us he needed space and we could talk later, informed a mutual friend that he no longer planned to talk to us. DM as well never answered again. To this day, we can't exactly say what the problem was. We had frustrations, but also engaged with his lore, and we're having a ton of fun. So much that a new friend of mine recently took the dregs of this idea and let me, Barbarian, and Paladin run these characters again so we could have a proper game to play. Losing two close friends, one of them being one of my absolute favorite people in the world, almost killed the hobby for me. If it wasn't for Reddit and finding new people to fill out our group as we moved online for the pandemic, I can't say I'd still be playing. Anyway, that's how I lost friends over D&D. Jesus Christ. That's a tough one because again,
Yeah.
it doesn't even seem like it was one of those stories where like people get angry and snap at each other and do horrible shit. But also,
No.
they weren't being very respectful of you either way.
No. I mean, it would seem pretty clear that as time went on, the GM kind of just got more and more uncomfortable and frustrated with, I think, a myriad of things just going on all at once. I don't really understand what was going on with their home life. I don't know why they had to like start having sessions at their place, even though it kept getting cut early because their mom would come back and
Yeah, that's
not
a weird one.
like I don't like maybe again their mom said something like you guys can't stay out late or something. I don't know. Like maybe that was a prerequisite or a requirement where it was like you guys can't be out at other people's places or whatever through all hours of the night and then come home late or something. I don't know. Um Again,
But that's something to have a conversation
well, that's what
about,
I'm saying.
which
The
they tried to
biggest
express their distaste for it, but then no one
Yeah, the
ever.
biggest issue was that there was a clear lack of communication between GM and cleric. Like they were like they neither of them wanted apparently to talk about anything at
Which is
all.
weird because you talk about having been friends with these people for such a long time, and then it's just like, no, we don't want to deal with it. And it's like, really? That's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I would assume that maybe OP's kind of coming out and transitioning contributed to that. It started to make at least GM. I don't know if cleric also felt the same way. Maybe he did. But maybe that it seemed like from what OP was saying that GM kept kind of having trouble adapting and acclimating to OP's new, designation or identity. And I don't know, like maybe it just made him feel uncomfortable, and so he just kept wanting to not engage or something. And he clearly also, I think, right from jump, even before all that, he clearly seems to have, I think, a bit of a control issue too, where he had to change, both OP and Paladin's backstories and stuff. Um, I don't really know why he was also focused on Paladin too. Like I'm not sure what's
Yeah.
going on really. There's
Also,
a
good, good for them of being able to have a wife and then come out.
Yeah,
Like that's cool. I
honestly,
like that. And like,
yeah,
you know what? It sucks because someone obviously didn't like it, but fuck them.
yeah. I mean,
It's that simple. It sounds like these friends weren't that great of friends by the end of it anyway.
well, I was gonna say, like, I think this might be a pretty textbook example of, like, people do grow and change, and sometimes they grow apart. As you get older, you realize certain things about yourself and maybe even certain things about them as you're going, and you just, you don't necessarily jive and connect as much as you used to, and that's just kind of how some relationships, whether they be friendship, platonic, familial, even or romantic, even, just happens. Like you do just kind of sometimes grow apart and kind of separate. Obviously, I don't really like the way that the GM and cleric did the whole separation. I think it was kind of fucked up that they couldn't even have a fucking conversation. Like they essentially just resorted to ghosting their friends. They literally just ghosted their friends while also still trying to keep one of the other friends without actually talking. But I mean, I can never advocate ghosting unless it's like literally these people, like a person you're ghosting is like a threat. It's like an actual like life threat kind of thing or physical threat where they'll hurt you.
Yeah.
Like, or even a mental threat, I guess. It's just a threat in general. But to ghost people who are supposed to be friends or who are even just speaking and communicating very, civilly and maturely, and stable like that, there is no excuse. There is none that I can advocate for or accept. That is just a very scummy thing to me. I don't care who's doing it. Male, female, or otherwise, everything in between and beyond. Like whoever's doing it, if you're like for shit like this, it's just so fuck. Ghosting is one of the most fucked up things that people can
I
do.
Yeah, it's really not helpful.
It's very unfortunate. OP, again, if you ever see this, we're really sorry, but we're glad that you guys were able to continue on. You found a great group, and that you didn't let this ruin your love of the hobby. So good for you. We appreciate that. We love to see that. All right, let's go ahead and move on. This might be the last one of the day. This one is titled "Player Deliberately Designed Character to Break the Group." Great. Another potential power gaming hating one. Fantastic. All right, let's get into it.
You'll love it.
This one is by Nusperfrosh. I think that's how you pronounce that. I do not know. Maybe butchered the crap out of that. Sorry. Let me start by saying I firmly believe it's the player's responsibility to create characters who are able to function in a group and come up with an in-character reason to not screw over slash murder other characters, even if they are of different alignment, worldview, fictional species, excuse me, opposed character classes, or to prevent inter-player conflict. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. It's totally fine if the goal is to have an undercover character, secretly evil character in a group of good characters, or mage hunter in a group of spellcasters, or D&D paladin who was caught by tieflings, who are all fiend-tainted monsters, etc., whose real identity is unknown to the other characters. If the player and the GM have already planned an arc of character growth where said character will evolve and gain redemption through friendship, or learn that not all members of Group X are wicked. That can lead to very satisfying role play. Agreed. Agreed. But a player deliberately creating a character with no clear, with the clear intention to hamstring or harass other players to break the group? No. No, acolytes. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Eye. No. Okay? No. We're not doing that. I've actually seen that thing happen back in the late 1990s in a GURPS fantasy campaign. GURPS played via online text chat room in the days prior to video/voice call software. We were all in our 20s. We all knew each other from a fantasy club. The group happened to be comprised almost entirely of different kinds of magic users. Sorcerer-like spellcasters, a healer/herbalist, a mystic swordsman, all heavily relying on magic. It was total coincidence that we as players, the majority of whom were female, including me, had created our characters independently from each other. The male GM had allowed us a lot of freedom to use various GURPS rules books, with the only requirements that the character had to fit in a medieval-ish fantasy setting and had to have reason to travel from point A to point B through the wilderness. The only exception from the magic user front was my character, a ghoul from Lovecraft's Dreamland stories. Note, Lovecraft's ghouls are a humanoid species. They are alive, not undead, who wore a magical illusion amulet to appear as a middle-aged balding human guy, so he wouldn't get lynched while living among humans, and pretended to be a traveling tanner and furrier to explain why his slight carrion smell he had, despite him using strong smelling herbs. He actually did have those craftsman skills, mind you. But our group was chill with having weird character backgrounds. That wasn't the problem. The other players knew my character was not human, but were curious about him. And the ghoul was such an amiable, unassuming guy that when the other travelers eventually found out he carried a preserved human brain in his backpack, because while he could eat normal food, he preferred carrion and needed to snack on a sentient creature's brain once a month, and saw his real face and that he had long, digging claws like a giant ground sloth. Everyone just kind of shrugged and went, yeah, so Gerard is a hairless hyena-faced creature of the old gods. Who can dig tunnels in record time and who occasionally eats the brains of hanged criminals. Yeah, I don't really care. It's all good. He's a nice guy. Let's help him maintain his cover identity when we meet people. See, now, that's great. We love that. See?
I love how that
Yeah,
goes.
that was a great transition. That was a great rationalization of like, you know what? I mean, he hasn't tried to eat any of our brains at any point that we've noticed. He's like there are hanged criminals. Like, hey, sometimes you just get a hankering. You know what I mean? What can we say? Who are we to judge, right? A person's diet is not necessarily reflective of who they are, at least in this context, when you're, a creature who kind of needs to feed on certain things. Other way, we're cool with this for now. So now the problem started when some sessions in, another player from the extended friends group wanted to join the already full group. I didn't personally know her, but because she was an acquaintance with the GM, he allowed it. But right from the first session, which introduced her character, we knew it was going to be problematic. Her character was a weird, waifish, white-haired, ghostly pale, skinny fae-like girl with pearly white eyes and total amnesia. Oh, God, the amnesia thing. Clad in a thin white gown, whom we found lying around on a plinth in a creepy tower in the middle of a wasteland with a weird amulet around her neck she couldn't take off. Okay. Amnesiac Fae Goth Girl was utterly unable to care for herself. But for some plot reason, we were forced to take her with us because prophecy or whatever, and the swordsman was tasked to protect her. Worse, Amnesiac Fae Goth Girl constantly emitted an anti-magic zone around herself with a radius of several meters. That's... No, bro, no. Mm-mm-mm. No, not merely as a penalty to all magic casting. Nope, a 100% no magic zone where spells, magic items like swords and amulets, and supernatural powers didn't work. I am sure you can spot the problem here. Yeah, I would have just deleted her. I'm sorry. I would have deleted her immediately. Like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. Just gone. Either that or I would have just left her there. I would not have taken her with us. For some unfathomable reason, the GM had allowed this, assuming he had seen the character sheet prior to introducing the character, question mark? This meant we could not leave her behind, despite several of us, me included, secretly telling GM in private messages that we saw no logic in in-character reason to drag this creature with us. Like literally, literally. Why would you ever do that? And Problem Player did everything to make life difficult for our characters, which quickly resulted in most of the playing time revolving around her character and our attempts to work around her stupid anti-magic aura. Yet the GM refused to ask her to make a new character or kick her from the group because he desperately wanted to not exclude anyone. Oh my God. It ended with us, the original group, telling the GM we would be leaving the campaign as it had become nearly unplayable, annoying, and no longer fun. A shame, really, because we had all really liked our characters. And I wasn't even angry at the GM. He was simply too gentle for his own good. No! You should be angry! That is a problem! There's a difference between being a nice, gentle, considerate individual and being a punk ass wussy bitch. There is there's no excuse for that, especially when the vast majority of your other friends who are clearly having a great time before are having a shitty time now. That is, you are not a nice person at that point. I'm sorry to tell you. Being nice to everyone is not being nice. You're not being nice if you're constantly trying to accommodate and be nice to everyone. You're just being a punk ass wuss. That's all it is. You're just weak.
Well, you're just a doormat.
Stop.
It's unfortunate because your intention might be well, but you can't do everything for everyone. Because then at one point, what someone wants is going to hurt someone else. So you're not really helping. It's a bit
And
more complicated than just be nice to everyone and everything will go just fine.
yeah,
Sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you have to be like, this isn't going to work.
and again, it's not even being not nice. Saying no, saying, hey, could you please change your character's concept here? This character here is just really not good and working for this campaign. Like it is negatively impacting everybody else here. That's not you not being nice. That's not you being mean or inconsiderate or anything like that. It's the exact opposite. Like, God damn it, people. I can't take this shit. I can't. God damn, I can't take this shit no more, man. Wings of Redemption. Oh God, just okay, okay. Then a short while later, I got a PM from one of the other players who told me that she had heard through the grapevine that the player of Amnesiac Anti-Magic Fae Girl had proudly remarked that she had created that character specifically to break the group. Fuck me, dude. What the F? Wow. End post. I don't want to live on this planet anymore, Sam. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Just this shit, like this is what I'm talking about. Like I like what did the GM was it just him being too nice or was the GM trying to get in there? Was he trying to get laid or something? Like what?
Well,
Because I just
putting that still putting it a little too far. I think it's just someone
is
who,
it though? Because I don't understand. Like I said, I don't get it because he's literally if you're saying he's too gentle and he's too nice, why wouldn't he want to do what's best for the majority, for other friends? Like there has to be some reason why he was so adamant of ending the campaign rather than asking a single player to make some changes to fit into a group that she wasn't even originally a part of. There has to be something about that person that the GM was personally invested in. I don't know if she had some dirt on him. Maybe she was blackmailing him. But I like there's got to be something because it doesn't make any sense for him to suddenly put this one individual who is clearly a problem. She's clearly a problem in the game and put her over everyone else who was not a problem. They're having a great time. It was great and fun. Like there must be something about her that the GM just for some reason could not deny. Again,
I this is one of those things where like I've had this issue before. It's like, why add more people? Stop adding more people. If it's going well, why do you need to add more people? If the person that wants to join you can't understand that there's not a space, and they can't be all right with that, then it's not worth your time anyway. It's not just an open invitation. The amount of effort that goes into keeping these things running and running smoothly and actually being fun for everyone involved is difficult and not the norm for a lot of people. So don't jeopardize that for one other person. Because you basically just it's the trolley problem. But instead of doing the right thing, which is you let the one person die, you killed everything else.
And the one person died too, technically in this
Yeah, and
scenario.
then the campaign ended anyway. The trolley went off the tracks at the end anyway. It didn't even kill the one person, but it
Like,
still
like
got
it's
the rest
just
of them. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. And it's a very unfortunate like the way that they did it is unfortunate, but it's just like, come on, man. Like you fucked up. You fucked up and you can't even admit it or be a mature person and just tell the person no, you can't. That's all it is. That's all you need to do is say no.
and not even just no. Again, you can just be like, hey, I am willing to work with you on this. I'm willing to like, help, find a character that is conducive to the group while still hopefully being something. But again, then if she's still like, no, I want to do this, I want like, then it would come out that you're just trying to screw the group and break them up.
What's the point?
Like again, why would he cater to a woman like this who's deliberately apparently trying to break the group and allowed it to happen? Like again,
Well, you've met people who frequent game stores. I've met people who frequent game stores, and I don't want to talk shit on a broad spectrum here, but you know exactly what I'm saying. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Um,
no, no. I mean, I get that. I get that. I just don't understand the guy who's supposed to be the kind, gentle, GM who loves like it. There's always the question we come back to, right?
you can't see the irony in that? Like,
Is GMs, don't you care about your game? Like, you put all this effort, all this work, all this energy, seemingly, right? We're going off the assumption that yes, you have. We're going off the assumption. And you're just gonna let one insignificant douchebag fucker just ruin it. Just ruin it. For what? Because you don't want to maybe be a bad guy to them. You don't because you can't handle being potentially disliked by the one douchebag asshole whose opinions matter less than fucking dirt.
yeah,
Where are our priorities at, bro? Holy shit, dude. Fuck me, man. Oh, God. And then in the meantime, the people who actually mattered get all fucked over and screwed over. You lose a great group, a great game for nothing. For less than nothing. Less than nothing.
yeah.
God, that again, where are these doormat GMs, Sam, where you can just get away with whatever the hell you want? Why haven't we had one? Why haven't I had one of those yet? I would love to have one of those, Just absolutely be like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. I can da 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 just walk all over like, yeah, all right, yeah, sure. I wouldn't actually do that, but I'm just fucking honestly, it might be the opposite. Like having a person like that, I'd be exceedingly appreciative, being like, yeah, I can come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, but I don't want to take advantage. I don't like doing that shit. I hate people who take shit for granted or take advantage of things. It's always the worst.
Indeed.
All right. Well, we got time, I think, for one more here, the last one of the day. Go ahead and take it away,
Yeah,
Sammy.
I have a shorter one here.
Yeah.
Some self-awareness to finish us off.
Yeah, I think we need it. We need another
Um,
palate cleanser for all this power gaming, this this
by
this
I did
poser
not
power gaming
I did not see
bullshit.
the name of this person. By the ass and the bass. I am the horror.
The ass and the bass.
I've played in three one
Or
shots.
bass.
No, it's
It's
bass,
got to be
man.
bass. It's got to be bass. Yeah.
So I've played in three one shots, and I'm starting my second campaign, and I've been worried about being a problem after reading the stories here. So I'll list my worst transgressions.
Oh God.
In COC, what's COC?
Curse. No, not Curse of Strahd. Cat.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
No.
I played a huge, I played a large
Call of
Italian
Cthulhu. Call of
Call of
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
That's it.
Awesome.
I was thinking, yeah, D&D as well. Yeah, no, it's Call of Cthulhu. The,
Um,
the Italian man gave it away.
I played a large Italian man, and it was ruled that it's close enough to Latin for him to know it with some rough rolls. At one
Uh-oh.
point while exploring, I had found three books. A couple in English that just looked like journals, and one in Latin with the mark of the king in yellow. My character knew that the sign was Bad News Bears and decided to keep that one hidden from the rest of the group until he knew it was safe, slash translated it to where they could read it and wouldn't go insane from doing so. That pissed off one of the other players, and he said we need to work as a team since it's a team game. My dumbass decided to keep the book hidden even though he was getting pretty mad, and upon reflection, I should have just told them about it instead of ruining their fun. In the same game, my man was stuck with the rest in a cave filled with these lobster monsters that dissect people, and they told the group that they had to stay for testing. They won't hurt us, and we'll be better than we were before. It'll
No.
just take a week, and we were free to go. My guy tried to make a deal with them to where they just keep him, and he gives them permission to test poisons that he has on him. While I was talking, though, the guy I upset before was telling me not to do it and to shut up in both in and out of character so he could think. I didn't and took over the RP again. I consistently would go off on my own in the game. I played a stealth build, so I followed a main antagonist who I didn't know was an antagonist at the time to make sure he didn't sleepwalk and die. Curse shit, whatever. It led to about an hour of just focus on me since I didn't bring the other players. Additionally, when they went to a dog show to level up their animal handling, I ran off to a church which ended up being very central to the plot without them. I would consistently attention hog in that manner where I just scuttle off on my own. I mean, so as much as I'm going to blame you, you're also being vehemently enabled by a
He's
GM.
yeah, I was gonna say the GM is just
Because,
allowing this shit
because like,
as
yeah,
always.
whatever.
It
In the
always comes
D&D
back to
one
the GM.
shots, yeah, but it's still his fault as well. In this D&D one shots, I would do weird, silly shit that made no sense. I played a kobold and asked another player to throw me during a combat so I could get closer. Or I would metagame a one shot I'd played before and asked to go around a villain's lair to basically try to fumigate them out with an ever smoking bottle. That's funny. The smoke doesn't do anything, but the biggest problem is in the current game I'm playing in. I'm fairly certain I made a character that will clash with the party. I'm actually pretty sure I'm clashing with the party in regard to our playing styles. They, as a group, have a very "we got a job to do" attitude, and if something stands in their way, they kill it. As I've heard D&D usually goes. I created a pacifist barbarian,
Oh
where she basically tries to
God.
avoid killing people due to backstory nonsense, but will fight if they become a pain
Okay.
in the ass.
Okay.
In the first combat session, we got attacked by a gang of bullywugs trying to take the caravan
Bullywugs.
we were guarding. Instead of fighting, I intimidated two to run away, but the rest of the group was really into just killing them. I heard about a
Wow.
session I couldn't make it to, and they had the same attitude where they just wanted the problem dead. If that's the rest of the group's style, I feel like the way I play will just annoy them, and I don't want to be a problem player. I guess this is really more of an ask for advice, since the crux of the issue is should I leave the campaign slash change characters?
Huh.
Yeah, I mean,
So, okay. Um,
well, the funny thing is, a lot of people are saying that this isn't
yeah.
a real post, which is funny.
Yeah, a lot of
But
people are
if
saying
this
this is
is
just
real,
bait.
if this is real, you should just change your character. Even if you just tweak the fact that your character does what your character does.
I mean,
What I don't understand is like doing something that you know is going to piss people off and then doing it again. Like and acknowledging that the person who's still mad at you from the last time is trying to stop you from pissing them off again, and you do it a second time.
okay, I mean, here's my thoughts on that here. Like, one thing I will say is that, like, obviously, you shouldn't necessarily not do certain things just because it might upset a person. Like it really is, again, in my opinion, about the context of what you're doing. Like I agree. I think here for this OP, yeah, and that and the Call of Cthulhu thing, he did a lot of shit where he was just he was not considering anybody else but his own personal thoughts, opinions, and feelings, which is shitty. Like, doing all that stuff, keeping that shit hidden, going to like very plot relevant things off on your own, stealing the spotlight for an hour, hours at a time. That's all fucked up. And there's not really a way around that. Like that's just messed up. Like that's you are just being selfish and inconsiderate at that point. Um Ironically, like, in other D&D one shots or whatever, you're like, yeah, he's metagaming, that's a problem. Um Asking, a player to throw the kobold during combat isn't necessarily, I mean, that's not a problem or a big deal. You get a fastball special, whatever, that's not an issue. Um, and even this problem he has in like the current game that he's in, I've never understood the whole pacifist dynamic at all in regards to D&D. I will say, I think OP again is a little bit ignorant or unaware that like he even says, he's like, it appears that like most, D&D is usually just all about, uh kill whatever stands in our way kind of thing. That he says like he's heard D&D usually goes that way. And that's not true, OP. If you're ever seeing this video, D&D isn't just simply a oh, if something's in your way, kill it thing. That's not that is more about how you play the game. You can absolutely try to, if your GM allows it, of course, de-escalate a situation socially with checks. It's possible. Technically speaking, in actual official D&D modules, you can go through certain modules without doing a single round of combat at all. I'm pretty sure what Witchlight is like that. Um, where you can like literally the Witchlight has been made. What is the full name of that book again? That module?
Um, for which one?
Witchlight. Like
Wild Beyond
it's
the Witchlight or
Wild
something?
Beyond. Yeah, for Wild Beyond the Witchlight, that module literally was made so that you could potentially go through that entire book without a single round of combat, without having to fight anybody ever, depending on how you did things. Um, that is the point. For this, though, of course, like with the whole pacifist barbarian, where if everyone else in your party is kind of acting like that, here's the thing: if you don't like that, if you're not going to find that particularly fun or interesting, then you should probably just leave that group instead of trying to like change your character or make a different character. Like you probably should just leave. Because that's the question. Like it seems like the way you're describing it, it seems like you're not necessarily really interested in doing that. Because otherwise, then I have to ask the question, if you're fine with doing that and everybody else was kind of doing that, why didn't you just make a character that's for that too?
Yeah.
Like, why did you make a character that was directly kind of opposite that? I don't know if you had a conversation with people. I don't know if this is all somehow some huge coinky dink where you just happened to make a pacifist barbarian in this game while everyone else made characters who were much more like down to just obliterate shit in their way. I don't
Yeah.
know. But, like again, I don't really see why you're even asking for advice because like again, if you're okay with what they're doing, if you're okay with them being that way, then yeah, just switch up your character, I guess. Change like tweak your character. I personally don't think there's actually necessarily a huge thing wrong with this. Like the way you're saying it, your character isn't actually the pacifistic type where you're like you are never going to get into a fight with anybody ever if you can help it. You just don't want to kill people. Okay. That's fine. As long as you don't leave your party like to fight by themselves or even try to stop your party from fighting, like, yeah, you can knock people out. Just attack them non-lethally. Intimidate them to run away. Who cares? The question you should ask too is why does your party care if you intimidated two bullywugs to run away? It might be one thing if you intimidated them to run away, like, and they were like guards and they were going to go get other guards to come attack you in a higher force or something. That might be a bit different. But they're two bullywugs. And you intimidate like what? Like there shouldn't be any issue. You handle the problem. It's not like you just sat there and let them beat the crap out of you and your part. Like so, I don't understand. Like this I will say too. Like this whole thing. Like maybe he's learning. This does seem like a very like 180 though compared to his previous behavior. Like where he's like But again, maybe this is legitimate growing and learning. Like even the comments I'm seeing or whatever. Like
Yeah. It is. I mean, I'll give someone props for learning.
Yep. If
That's
this is
great.
real,
If this is real,
that's
like, oh, cool. But
yeah.
I also, I don't know. I don't think so.
Like I just, like I said, like if you're really trying to learn, I feel like the answers are all pretty obvious, quite frankly. But maybe not, because that's where we see a lot of stories on here because of that, because I guess the answers weren't obvious to people. Or maybe they were obvious, but just because something is obvious or simple doesn't necessarily ought to mean that it's easy. That is true. I'll absolutely acknowledge that. Things that are simple and obvious don't automatically mean that they're easy to do or accomplish. But I'd say this is pretty easy to do or accomplish here. Like, just it really just depends on what you're trying to do. What game do you want to play, OP? Do you want to play this game where they're kind of just, they're just blending everything up? It's kind of a hack and slash, whatever the fuck kind of thing. Did you want to play a game where you could be a little bit more nuanced and have, like, a more pacifistic or more, you know, peaceful kind of approach to things? Then yeah, don't be a part of that game. But if you're fine
Yeah.
with it, then just let your barbarian or whatever be like, you know what? I guess maybe there are times when I do have to just kill people, and then you switch your character thing up. Whatever. It it is what it is. Like it's just about what you would prefer to play. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's just it's that simple. It's that straightforward. Now, whether it's easy or not, that's up to you. But it is that simple and that straightforward. Anything else you got, bud?
No, I think that's it for me, I think.
All
I
right.
think we got a good mix there. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, with that being the case, then, acolytes, thank you guys so much if you stuck with us this long. We appreciate that so very much. We hope you enjoyed all these stories one way or another. At the very least, if you didn't enjoy it, we hope that you got some satisfaction and raging along with us, or maybe just watching me and Sammy kind of like rage over it. As always, be sure to like down below if you like the video. If not, feel free to comment down below and tell us kind of your thoughts and what you didn't like and what, all that other stuff, how we can maybe improve certain things. Subscribe and share the channel, of course. And with that being said, we will be sure to catch y'all next time when we dive back down into the archive. So long, y'all. Take
See ya.
care.